Fox News alert. White House tensions growing as new reports claim Russia is planning to overhaul the Ukrainian government and install a pro-Kremlin leader. This as the U.S. is ordering families of embassy workers to begin evacuating as soon as tomorrow. Our next guest served on the front lines and now returning for Congress. Here to react, former Navy SEAL Morgan Luttrell, along with retired SEAL Commander and former Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke, and Army veteran Wesley Hunt. Secretary, I want to start with you first. You've served in a cabinet. How do you react to how the White House is handling what's going on in Ukraine right now?
Well, it's been a series of mistakes, Joey, and when you don't defend freedom, it has implications. They took the military response off the table almost immediately, which gives a clear signal to other areas like China and Taiwan that we won't defend freedom, we won't defend territory. And you see even the NATO response is somewhat clouded because I don't think that the NATO trusts us. I mean, clearly in Afghanistan, the mistakes that were made there, our disgraceful exit, created a situation where we're not trusted, and our allies are not willing, I think, to stand up shoulder to shoulder to freedom because we have shown that we're not either. So the Biden administration, they've dug a hole here, and it has implications across the globe. I think the biggest one right now is Ukraine, but right behind it and perhaps even in front of it is China and Taiwan.
Mm-hmm. You know, Morgan, put yourself back into the team as a leader, a small unit leader. You've got troops under you. You saw what happened in Afghanistan over the summer, and now we're looking at what's happening in Ukraine. Where do you think our military is right now in following our president as a leader right now?
Well, with what we saw in Afghanistan, this is Biden administration posturing 101. They're just incapable of understanding the repercussions of not acting appropriately. And I think if they don't do what they need to do, Ukraine is going to turn into an Afghanistan all over again. This would have never happened in the Trump administration. He needs to take notes from President Trump. He needs to act. President Putin is a very aggressive leader, and it's showing the weakness of Biden with lack of response from his administration.
Wesley, you graduated West Point. You have your family that graduated West Point. Where is our military leadership in this, and do you think they should have a large voice in deciding how we handle what's happening in Ukraine, considering it looks like combat is on the table? It's hard to say that, but it looks that way.
You know, being at West Point, we learn a lot about history. And imagine this. What if Churchill told the Axis powers that it was okay to bomb just some of London, but not all of it? And I think that Biden's speech just this week really invited Russia into the Ukraine. I think the gentlemen on this panel are exactly right. The Afghanistan exit was abysmally bad. And the previous administration, Trump's administration, with the leadership of Secretary Pompeo, had a conditions-based withdrawal that the world saw and believed that we would toe the line and we would watch out and have our allies' backs. And we don't. And as you said, as you mentioned earlier, sir, you know, there's trouble with Taiwan as well, too, and the Ukraine. And what is the world looking at on a global stage as we leave from a position of weakness?
These are problems we're all going to have to deal with one way or the other. But thankfully, we've got veterans in this country who have been to combat and are now stepping up and trying to lead. All three of you are looking to get into Congress. Secretary Zinke, I know that you work with an organization specific to that, efforting getting, I believe, Navy SEALs or special operators into Congress. Why is it so important to have any veteran, especially special operators, in Congress as congressional leaders?
Well, it's about a fight for freedom. I mean, this is why veterans that have given a blood oath to defend the Constitution, conservative veterans, are so important to the leadership of this country, is that we need to defend freedom no matter where it is. That is the essence and the character of our country. And in the case of Ukraine, or looking at China, when the world sees that we are unwilling to defend freedom, it has implications across the globe. Certainly it's in our best interest, national security, but we need those veterans that have given the blood oath and are willing to stand up firm and defend our way of life and defend the Constitution.
Blood oath, man. That means something in this country. Morgan, you're not a peacock, man. You don't want to be the center of attention. You don't need all eyes on you. But here you are running for office or campaigning. I know this decision must have been something that came from down inside. Why did you decide to run for Congress?
Most certainly out of necessity. After World War II, 70% of the House were veterans, and I think it's in the teens right now. And as the Secretary said, having a background in service, it's not a necessity, but it lends perspective. The country is the mission now for us, and we want to bring our country back to something very special. It's just coming off the rails, and I think all of us that served in the country that did great things overseas, and like yourself, are just tired of seeing the diversity in our parties. We want to bring this country back and make it our mission.
Wesley, let's wrap this up. You've run for Congress before. You barely missed out the last time. You decided to jump back into it again. What's your advice to veterans that are looking to get into politics and to be a leader after they've come home from war?
My advice to them is that we as a country, we need them. And we get to wake up every day and put our feet on free, sovereign American soil and breathe free, sovereign American air. Because, Joey, as you and I know, people died for it, brother. People died for it. And we understand this intimately. This is still the greatest country in the world, and every generation it's incumbent upon us to protect our liberties, protect our values, and to protect our Constitution. The blood oath to us is real. We know it. We feel it. And today, we are still willing to die for our country. And if you're out there and if you're thinking about what's happening in our country, you're seeing what's happening in our country, we need you to serve in a different capacity, get in office, fight for our country, fight for our Constitution so we can take back our country for the future.
Gentlemen, it was an absolute honor to serve with each of you. I've gotten to know you. Good luck in all your endeavors, and here's to getting more vets in Congress.
Well, thanks, Joey. Follow us at sealpack.org.